The Sporlan division of Parker Hannifin proudly sponsors the Advanced Refrigeration podcast. Contaminants like water, acids, sludges, and varnishes may react with compressor windings, leading to compressor burnout or cause copper plating, which reduces bearing clearances, or poor valve seating, eventually causing failure. Or they can deposit in the expansion device, restricting flow or proper modulation of thermostatic expansion valves. Loss of superheat control will lead to lack of cooling if the evaporator is starved, or even worse, flooding of liquid back to the compressor, causing bearing washout and eventual compressor failure. Installing a properly sized, high-quality, time-proven Sporlan catch-all will ensure contaminants are captured before they can harm the new system components. Ask your local refrigeration wholesaler about the Sporlan catch-all filters. Parker Sporlan, leading the charge.
Tired. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Advanced Refrigeration Podcast. You're the host, Brett Wetzel and Kevin Compass. What's up, buddy?
Oh, just DM.
You gotta sit down and figure out what's wrong because it's happening. It's happening no matter if I'm here, if I'm at my house, or whether it's happening when I'm not at my house.
Yeah, it's weird. I've plugged all the speakers and everything, and I don't understand where it's coming from.
Been doing that a lot lately.
Yeah, super annoying.
So what are you doing this week, man?
I've been running around like a chick with my head cut off, and I am currently trimming all the EMS out of their Joes.
Mhm.
So that's my first doing that. It's pretty decent so far, and then the rest of the week is just like pure chaos. It's just start back-to-back island startups and glycol, and yeah, it's going to be chaotic the next 3 weeks.
Gotcha. I'm out here in California, just doing things. I got burnt my very first day, so I was regretting that, and I gotta get in the habit of actually drinking water or drinking something for that matter, because I'll go without forever, and then I'm like, gee, why do I feel like shit? And then I actually have an awesome farmer stand now, so it's awesome. So that's just lovely. How did your leak detectors go? You want to share that little tidbit so everyone else actually knows that?
Oh yeah. Morning, like an hour and a half, 2 hours programming MRL DS 450s, which normally they're like cake. Like literally get on the app and you tap it with a magnet and it instantly pulls up on the Bluetooth, and you could program the address or program the scaling. It literally takes no time at all. It's simple, it's easy, you don't gotta pull them apart. I did the first two this morning, and then the other one was in the freezer, so obviously it was cold, and I wasn't just paying the most attention. I went in there and I tapped it, and I went to go back by the door to get away from the fans to pull it up on it wouldn't pull up. I'm like, the hell? So I tried again, still won't pull up. I go to the buttons on the inside. If you push the buttons on the inside, the left button does the same thing, enables the Bluetooth. The right button disable the Bluetooth. So I do that. It beeps like it's Bluetooth enabled. Nothing. The apprentice comes in with his phone. Nothing. I'm like, what the hell? I can't get it to do anything. So I'm messing around, and then all of a sudden, I'm looking at. I text one of the Copeland guys. And I'm like, hey, have you ever had issues with this? And he starts laughing. He goes, is it a Bacharach? And I go, yeah, they're all Bacharach. Like Bacharach literally makes every leak detector. Like it's a monopoly. And he goes, yeah, it's a different app. I'm like, you gotta be.
Does it still say Emerson on it, or does it actually say Bacharach on it?
This one, oh, the first two said Copeland. The next two said Baccarat.
So does anything change with the communication? They just use a different app. That's it.
Just a different.
Wow.
It won't even pull up on Bluetooth on my phone until I put the app in. You get for Bluetooth devices, and it's like a weird numbering system. Right away when it's one of them, it's like BM something, but it wouldn't even pull it up until I put the app on my phone for Baccarat, which is super irritating.
So there's a different software in there, is what it sounds like. Is it exactly the same though? Is it all?
Looks to a T, just a different sticker. Literally, it's just a different sticker on the front. To a T, it is the exact same. But they make everybody's leak detectors. They make the Danfoss ones. They make I'm sure they make the microthermal ones now. Like they made the old micro. They make the open ones. They make the RDM.
Yeah, everyone.
It is literally 100% a monopoly.
Start making leak detectors.
Yes. Those after we figure out the app, it takes 5 minutes. We get them all set up and start testing them. Obviously, I didn't have any test gas, but Duster works pretty well. We're just setting them off to make sure that it triggers the horn, triggers the strobe, and that's all right. And the button works and all that stuff. And then the rest of the day I spend dealing with my electricians that pulled 8-wire cables. And I don't know where they got this shit, but I flipped out about it and they hope to provide again. But I don't even know why this would be a thing, but it's 8-wire cables. So it was a red, a blue, an orange, a yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And every other color was black. What? So they were like twisted pairs together, but they're all black. Guess where they're not twisted, but like where they landed them on the sensors and landed them. Like there's 4 possibilities of wire combinations. So the apprentice literally spent like 4 hours.
So there's not even like a potential like this black one has one white notch on it.
Nothing.
That's stupid.
I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I don't know where this wire came from. This is something that should have never been made. Yeah, but it's twisted together. That's great until you like go to trim it all out and it's not twisted together anymore.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it was not amazing. I'll tell you that right now. It was not amazing. I was not amazed. I was very angry. We've been having a serious problem with the wire pulling of stuff getting pulled places. So like we've been like on guys about it. Because the electricians don't do a thorough job and don't mark their wires properly, and it makes startup hell. It does. It makes my job so much harder. Especially if you're by yourself, like verifying temp sensors, it's nearly impossible without. Thank God a lot of the customers we're doing work at, I have a VPN into the EMS, or else it would be miserable.
Yeah.
Because
where you don't ever pull your wire.
Try not to, because it's not like labor. It's just not a good use of like labor. We could have electricians pull it. They're way faster than me. Yeah. Can I do it? Can I do it good? Yeah, absolutely. I know it's to be done right. Absolutely. At the end of the day, they're faster than me. And my time is better used doing other stuff like trimming it out and making sure it's all right.
So let me ask you a question. But usually is it just the whole wire pull itself, like where they're mismarking the actual outside shield, or just using where it's like all kinds of, like you just said, with the 4 blacks?
It's been both. I've been on guys about marking the boxes. Like I am like super psychopathic about this. When I have guys pulling wire my jobs, I want the box marked with what case the label is, and I want it tagged twice on 3 labels. Not sure.
So what I used to do is just mark it with, I had, so I think my daughter was like 4. We were living in Connecticut and she was like helping me color in the prints. Anywhere she saw EPR, she was coloring in blue. Anything she saw where it was discharge air, DA, she was marking it green. If anything that was DT, defrost termination, she was marking it orange, and anything PD, product temperature, PT, she was marking it purple. So I used that as what I would do my pulls with. So at each box, if I knew I was pulling whatever, I'd mark it at the end, mark the label just with permanent marker for the time being, and then pull it. And then that way all those are grouped together for that. And then they're marked on the box. So when at times When it's time to cut it, okay, then I can remake another piece of tape and put it on the end there because you're gonna have to trim it out later, right?
I will slaughter somebody for writing permanent marker now. Like me and the other two startup guys last week came to a head and they had a meltdown about it because these guys have terrible handwriting. You can't read half of it. It's marked in 3 spots. It takes longer to write in Sharpie than it does to take the Brady label and label it.
Fair enough.
It does. And then the Brady label is on there. And if you get the good ones, they don't come off easy.
Mhm.
I despise Sharpie. It's so terrible for it. It gets so hard to read, and especially if we're in a dark room on a brand new construction job, it's even worse.
I guess because I was the one pulling it and I was the one reading it because I was the one that was trimming it out. So I guess that's probably wasn't that bad. But I get your point where you take the Brady labeler and just label it out from the start. Label it at the beginning and label it right on the box, and then just make it one more tag for when it's time to cut the wire off of there and run it to wherever you have to on the rack.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, I'm Sharpie in the box. I'm gonna put Sharpie in the box, and I'm gonna do it that way. But I want it Brady labeled. It doesn't take that much longer, and then anybody can read it. I can't even read my own handwriting.
Yeah, you and me both.
So I can't expect somebody else to get it. So that's a big cause of frustration here lately, and it's finally come to a head. But yeah, the pulling of sensors, every job I go to, they're wrong. Doesn't matter if we pull them or somebody else. I don't trust anybody to do it. So I literally have like 30 cans of duster in my van. But today, the E3, oh my God, I'm walking around this Trader Joe's with it hooked to the third port Wi-Fi and the middle port on a little mini router, and I'm on my phone just spraying sensors, just walking by, spray a sensor, walk by, spray a sensor. Just I'm able to get like pretty good range out of that TP link. It works awesome for that, and like the web UI on the E3 is awesome on your phone.
Yeah, the range is actually phenomenal. So when we were doing training, I'd plug it in, and a lot of times, even up at the classroom, I'd still bring up the TP link, even like through 3 brick walls.
How far were you? Because I didn't test it today. Like
About 120 feet, 130 feet. It depends on how high you have it. If you don't have the right transformer powering the E3, it does not like when you steal the power from the USB. So what I did was I ended up using like an Apple cord to power the TP link because it didn't like it at all. You could see it would cut out, it would cut in, and I was like, and I felt the TP link and it felt a little warm. So I was like, let's change it out. So I ended up just running it straight up to an Apple plug off the USB. And then I have a 10-foot long USB female to male that I use for an extension cord. And I just plugged it into that. So then that way, the higher you can have it, obviously, the farther the range you're going to get. But having it literally right over the top of where the E3 was, we were getting probably 120 feet. I'd have to Google map it to see where I was at in the parking lot with my laptop when I was hooked up to E2 and I was still getting service through it.
so when I was taking my top off, my Milwaukee top off, I just put it there and plugged it into the 120 volt the USB-C adapter. So it's getting full power and it's all good. That little TP link, I'd use the crap out of it. You could even use it for the core link cases too. You could set one, they're $19. You could set one up for the core link cases. You just need a USB to Ethernet adapter and you just need power to it. But it works phenomenal for that. Like I literally just went through, I changed the route inside of it so that way it's set up to be on the 192.168.1.250 for the E3. And then if you do the E2, change for that too. And then you can get on there and you can do whatever you need to do. And like you're on your phone or like on the E2, you still have to be on ultrasite, but at least it gives you that remote capability to be down there checking sensors because verifying case controllers absolutely sucks. Like beginning of the week, like I had a manufacturer wire the opposite sensors. It was a pre-piped island. All the sensors were going to the opposite sides for the case controllers.
Damn.
So like it was a nightmare. I had somebody with me, but if I was by myself, they did this particular price. I had no way to run thing. I was just looking down the display for the Dixels and I'm like spraying it. I'm like, nothing. And I look at the other side. I'm like, -13. That's not good. I'm like, they're all crossed. I seen the bundle of wire come down. I'm like, just fantastic.
So then you had to tone out whatever for the other side.
No, I didn't. I just saw wire coming down at that point, and I seen they were opposite sides. So the EV was on this side and this one, and this side and this one. So you could tell right away looking at it, like, why are those sensors coming down that one and going into here when it should be the opposite way? And it's fun beginning of the week. So what are we going to talk about? Let's make it a quicker one.
I have no idea. I have no clue. I'm tired. I'm sunbeat, and I'm out.
Let's continue the centrifugation thing then.
All right, fine.
The other thing that I've been on guys about, and then we've been seeing a lot of, is on these case controllers, is it happened across multiple manufacturers. They're using the same. I'm assuming they're using the same transistors, and they're all tagged.
What do you mean as far as the range?
They're tagged 0 to 200s, and there's 0 to 500s. We've had 0 to 650s, and there's 0 to 500s.
Oh, even though they have
they're tagged correctly, but the laser engraving on there. I don't know why everybody decided to go to laser engraving with that black ink on there. Like they used to put the black ink on there. It sucks because I can't see that shit.
Yeah.
I usually take a marker, so I take a permanent marker and I run it up and down the wording on there, so you could actually see the word. Like the microthermal ones are really hard to see because it's a really long part number and it's PE. It's in the middle, so I have to take the Sharpie on there and highlight it and make it black so I could see.
PSP, that's a Sporland number, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, the only thing you can tell is it'll say PSP something like 150 or 650 or whatever.
The thing you got to watch with the microthermal ones is they change the colors around.
Oh no!
So they're gone. So there was a gen of them where they sent a bunch out. I don't know if they couldn't get the pigtails, but green is actually the power, and black is the actual feed wire, and white is the common.
Yeah, that's how. Remember when we did the KE2 episode, and I'm like, keep fucking this up because I kept trying to hook it up how I thought it was, and it was just because it takes that type of pressure transducer, and the cable that I had was wrong. I was trying to figure out which pin went to where.
Super irritating in the beginning, but now I know to look for it. It's there, but randomly these will show up in coils. I had them show up at a Copeland store the other day, and it's, oh shit, it worked. You just got to rewire it around. Red's not power. There's a red there, but it's not powered. It's not used for anything.
Oh, okay.
So there's 4 wires in there.
Oh, and the one that you said they had to put in there for the time being.
But they showed up in the coil.
Oh, sweet.
So that, and then I've been seeing a lot of sensors come out in the wrong spots.
As far as where?
Like suction temp sensors, flip-flopped. Just because it's a case controller and the wires look like they're going to the right spot, don't trust it, because if it's back-to-back islands or multi-cases, like husband cases, that shit happens all the time where they get crisscrossed in between.
Structural Concepts is horrible for that because sometimes a case that has dual coils and dual case controllers on those things. You'll have, for the ones that they have the service case and the service fish case, you'll have the serpentine one, you'll have the gravity coil. So sometimes you'll have another coil within the bottom. And so 90%, no, I don't say 90, probably 50% of the time, you're going to be swapping out sensors.
The new Hill cases, the trays, holy cow.
Trays.
So they have them in trays now, or the cases.
It's fun.
I had on Friday, I absolutely lost my shit trying to get. I spent an hour trying to get this tray back in. I'm legitimately out. Every time I try to slide it back in, it would unplug a plug. Every time I slide a little bit more, it would unplug a wire. It'd slide a little more, lights would go out. I pull it back out, and the cowl line would pull out. Everything's, you're just trying to shove all this wire in this tiny little enclosure that it's all curling up in there. It just, if you zip tie it all up nice, unplugs everything.
So you just got to leave it into a roll of crap underneath the gate.
And just pray. I was taking self-loss, and I was 90, trying not to arc it against anything, trying to push the wires and get back again. I didn't hit anything with it. Like, cause I kept unplugging the wires.
How much room do you have there?
None.
Did they? So you still have the electricians. What is it? Just the front piece that slides out, and the two side pieces are stationary.
Oh, so it's got like a cover over it, and the whole thing pulls out as a tray.
So the whole thing pulls out, not just like the centerpiece. Because you remember how for a while there they had the one set of cases where it would just pull out the center, and then it had the total enclosure, and it would do that same shit where you go to pull it out and push it back in, something would come unplugged.
Every single time. Like, I was in there, like, crimping down every crimp on there, and I'm just like, "Come on. Why are you doing this to me?"
That sounds awesome. So besides doing the good old spray the sensor, and any other things that you try to do that make that thing a little bit more not wanting to kick a bag of kittens?
So, pressure transducers, I generally spot check, meaning I'll go through them all, and if I'm on, like, static pressure, if I'm say I have just about everything's at 100 pounds or 150 pounds, I'll start checking them, and I'll go through it. It's like 150, 155, 152, 153, 155, and then I'll see one at 40, and it's like, boom, that one's an issue. Let's go down there and check that one. If you look at the whole lineup and every other one's at what everything else is reading, then that one's got a problem. I don't go and jump to every single transducer.
You try to check them when you're doing a pressure test, so at least you can check them. That's when they should be all reading the same.
Yeah, like, generally, I'll try to do them in a pressure test, or I'll do them when if it's CO2, I'll do them when we break it and just get the holding charge in there. Everything should be just about the same after it settles down. You know, if otherwise, if I have a whole lineup and I have 3 cases and they're all reading the same, and the 4th case is reading like 40 pounds off or 40 off or like half, it's okay. I know something's wrong with that one. It's either got the wrong transducer in it, it's not open, it's something's wrong with it.
Today's episode is sponsored by the RefriShield RDP Series differential pressure monitors from Westermeyer Industries, now available for transcritical CO2 systems in addition to other common pressures and refrigerants. When the filter element of your coalescing oil separator is contaminated, it can hurt your system's performance and efficiency. But how do you know when it's time to replace that filter? Wait too long to replace, and you could end up with a nasty filter blowout. But replacing too often can be a waste of time and money. The answer is installing a differential pressure monitor. The RDP Series differential pressure monitors, including the new transcritical CO2 model, are available now from Westermeyer Industries. To find out more information, email sales@westermeyerin.com. That's WESTERMEYERIN.com.
So
You were talking before about pulling the sensors. Now, I did think, like, with how many case controllers are out there now, there's not really many sensors to be pulled.
walk-ins and stuff, there's still a lot of walk-ins, and
Oh, okay, fair enough.
yeah, and there's still, like, Costco, for example, like, all the POS boxes, everything's pulled back to the rack room.
No shit.
There's a lot.
I saw something today where they had all the case controllers in a back panel, and so all the sensors were pulled to it. So that way you had a display in there, so you could actually plug up to one and check it versus another one, which sounds like a great idea. But you'd want to be there when you're checking the sensor. So I'm confused on why you'd want to do that.
It depends. Is it like the CC200 screens? Okay. Yeah, like that's great for checking case controllers. I think they should all be app-based, so you could easily check them. Like, that's a big issue, is not having the app-based. Even the SC3, it's easy to check everything because it's app-based. I mean, the Danfoss one's app-based? I've never really messed with the CC.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yes, they are. Because they have the 55s, and I forget what the other ones are. But in the Danfoss ones, in some of the stores, what they'll do is they actually have a physical lockout. So no one can go going to the case controller and just pressing the Bluetooth button and actually logging into it. In some of the stores, they have a lockout where you actually have to go into either a back room or a manager's office and key a switch to let the case controllers become enabled, so you can actually attach to it and hook up to it.
12-year-olds there and hijacking the case controllers.
You never know. They might play with the lights or put it in defrost. You never know.
Yeah, I've never really messed with the Danfoss case controllers really too much. Every job where we had them where they're supposed to be ends up getting canceled and put to something else, like SC3s or or CC200s. And those two and the thermals have got to be my favorite case controllers. Like they just work and they're easy and the app is good. I really like the CC200 app. It's really easy to use. It's very functional for checking stuff. I'm starting to like the E3 like a ton more now. Like it's so much easier checking stuff with the E3.
Yeah, it just, you know what it is? It's getting used to where everything is. So the more you play, the more you mess around with it, the more you get accustomed to where it is. Like what I was doing today, I was able just to roll through and, okay, I know where that is. I know where that is. I know where that is. So the other day when we were trying to figure out everything, where we had to record that shit twice, where we ended up like, it's just like anything else. The more you mess around with it, the better and better you get. How many years have we been playing around with the E2? They were like, oh yeah, menu 771 or 773. You know what I mean? Where
What
now,
thing that sucks is laid out.
yes, agreed.
Now, I will say this though, the ability to backtrack and like clicking links is so much better. For so like today, like I was looking for something controlled. I was looking through a flex combiner and it was controlled. It had an input on there. Well, the input it has a link to what the next thing is. So instead of going back and looking for like this digital sensor control through a list of all these other applications, I could just click on it right in the flexible combiner and it brings me right to the digital sensor control. And if I want to go back to the flexible combiner, all I can do is hit the back button. It takes me back to the flexible combiner, which is a huge time savings compared to the E2 click all around. That was even an ultra site. I will say the other nice thing is even with Danfoss, since it's web-based, is using that TP link in there, you could broadcast your signal just like you can. I mean, Danfoss has onboard Wi-Fi, but it's crappy it's got like 10 foot of range.
It's not that it doesn't go as far, but yeah, you could do essentially the same thing with the E50.
Yeah, I don't like the store connect on Danfoss. I'd rather use the web-based one. The web-based one is way better. It seems like for me, I'll use the web-based one and I'll just get on my phone and type the IP address in there and boom, I'm able to get it on my phone and it seems to be way more functional, especially for checking sensors and stuff. Like I honestly use my laptop or my computer or I'm sorry, my iPad or my laptop because my iPad, I'm able to like fly through checking sensors.
Gotcha.
If I'm just looking at the node screen.
When you have the TP link, which one do you have? Do you have the one that has the 3 little lights, or do you have the one that's like the one that was in the Hussman cases?
The 3 little lights. It's the square one. It's the better one with the higher range. I spent $2 more to get the better one. It's been like phenomenal. I haven't tried it on the Hussman cases, but I know it'll work.
I like it because you get so far of a range with it. Like I said, I mean, it was 120 feet or so, and it was through like 2 separate brick walls that it was going through, like actual cinder block walls. Even with that, the range is just excellent for checking that kind of shit. Do you ever how do you do anything if you have to tone out wires where like today where your shit was messed up, like where you couldn't figure it out? Are you just doing it via continuity or are you doing with an actual toner? Because if a shielded wire, it doesn't pick up through the shield.
Yes, it does.
Which toner are you using? Because no.
I'll have to look at it. When I stole from the Electricians a while ago, but like it goes right through the shield.
No, the one I have, I don't know if I have the old Home Depot special with the gray and green, the gray and blue box, but it won't go through.
That's what mine was.
Really?
Yeah. Mine works fine. Like it literally goes, you'll get a faint hit on it, but as soon as you come to an end, like
yeah, that's what I mean. You have to go all the way to the end. You can't like through the shielding.
It'll pick it up.
It's faint as hell. Like it's like,
but I'm not deaf and 80 years old, so.
Thanks for that.
You were cranky all day yesterday, so everybody knows what I'm talking about. So I don't know, that toner, I use the shit out of it. That toner might as well be an apprentice. It did save so much time and money on jobs because every time we're doing an EMS job and we get somebody that marks wire all crappy, it's like, nope, don't even start, shorten wires and all that stuff. Just grab a toner and just go in there and tone the wires out and let's just find it in 5 seconds instead of spending 20 minutes toning or shorten stuff. I will say though, it will screw you if the wire is shorted. It won't work. So if one of the wires is shorted to ground, it will not tone
Really?
because it drags the signal down.
Oh, the signal that it's actually putting through the wire.
Correct.
Mm.
The other thing you gotta watch is, I've done it a million times, had problems, but watch doing it on comm lines
Why?
because it's putting voltage on there.
Oh, you can't have anything connected to it.
Mm,
Not supposed to.
Multi flex ports take it. Tell you what really doesn't like it is lock.
I hate you so
But
much.
yeah, it works. So
You're still not supposed to put voltage on the line.
you're not supposed to do a lot of things, but
Unbelievable.
it works. And like sometimes it'll mess up inputs too, but they'll come. I tone them on boards all the time.
I've never once used a toner on something that wasn't dead.
If it's got high voltage power on it, but if it's a temp sensor, do it all the time. 0 issues. It's like nominal voltage. It's marginal.
Is it DC voltage still?
I think it may be actually.
Yeah, I don't think that's a really good thing.
They put out DC voltage makes DC voltage.
Yeah, tell that to what the conversation we just had the other day. We're like, yeah, if you have the analog output switched with the comm, it doesn't.
Blew up and still are getting sound that way and still get blown up when people put them in and don't realize it, or they flip the IDCM wires and let the smoke out. I'm just saying it's been fine, but just know while you're toning it, it may not be fine. It may be reading all kinds of crazy numbers.
Disconnect the cable from the actual.
Where the cable is, what if it's hooked up where it is? That's the reason you're toning it. Got you there.
He actually did.
That's the reason you're toning it. If you knew where the cable was disconnected, you disconnect every sensor in the rack.
No, but if you're gonna, a lot of times you measure the voltage, and if you get 3 point something or 2 point something, you're like, oh, that's probably a comm line, right? How much? I have a headache all of a sudden.
Why? It's fine.
Oh my god!
What?
I don't know. I know nothing.
Stop it.
I know absolutely nothing.
Check a wires that way. Seems easy. The 120 volt wires is where it gets dicey. I don't really tone that stuff. I make the electricians chase the 120 or 208 or.
You don't have the circuit finder 3000.
No, I got the green ground wire.
Actually, I have a Greenlee high voltage circuit checker, which is amazing. It does up to 460, I believe.
I went and shorted one in the rack the other day. Didn't trip. Didn't trip the rack breaker. Didn't trip the
Did you say the breaker? Are you talking about like the
control breaker. Didn't trip the control breaker. Didn't trip the 460 volt breaker in the rack. Didn't trip either breaker at the panel. It was very concerning.
Did you finally find the breaker?
Oh, I didn't need to know where the breaker was to drop the wire, but like I was very concerned that nothing tripped.
It just kept tripping. What do we do? Keep up in the amperage on the breaker. Don't trip no more.
It was aerial. God only knows there's probably quarters inside of fuses and
I thought those aren't legal anymore.
oh dude, there's all kinds of stores in Chicago with screw-in fuses still. Seriously.
I thought that shit wasn't legal anymore.
Flew in the other day. I'm like looking, I'm like, where the hell is the breaker? I'm like, what? Just a whole wall of fuses.
Put a light bulb in there.
And nothing has been labeled and changed since the 60s. Oh yeah. The other day we had to find fuse adapters to go to 20s.
Wait, what?
Yeah, because we changed cases and new Hussman cases, the fans and anti-sweats are together on one circuit. So they went from having anti-sweat control to integrated anti-sweat control. So now there's only one circuit for fans and anti-sweats. 2 5-doors together and defrost is like almost 20 amps
Oh shit.
because of the pan heaters. So it's like 14 amps. So the fuses are too small. So we had to find adapters to change them to 20 amps.
The adapters for the screw-ins?
Yes.
But that means the wire is going to be still undersized.
They had to change a wire, but they had to find adapters for the screw-ins to change the amperage.
How much fun was that?
Oh, it was a nightmare. Trying to track down all those things supply houses.
They're looking on eBay for this place.
When they shut one down,
You rip all the shit out of it.
because we need it for the sensor changes and other stuff. We can't get the switch inserts anymore because it's all fused, and these panel boards haven't been made since the 70s.
I think someone would say, hey, maybe that's one thing we might want to change out when we do the retrofit. Just a thought.
I don't know. Avoid those.
Nice. So what do you got going on next week?
So next week, it's a little Sam Sub chaos. Just finishing up his CO2. And we're finally gonna put this dairy cooler in after they pulled the box out and had to end up demoing the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm back to Costco changeovers, which I would like to get my last one done for the year. This is
You got plenty of time to do 3 more.
yeah, I am well into blackout for them. So blackout is like the end of October. We're going mid-November. So it's just been chaos. This has been the busiest end of the year in a long time. Well, usually I'm building a new store at the end of the year, but this is insane. This is like all the cases that got misdirected or didn't get built all hit at the same time.
Yeah, so next week I'm going to be at home, and then the next week I'll be in Seattle. And then the following week, I don't know where I'm going after that. There could be 2 very big possibilities that is really going to make me angry if I have this much of flying time is what I think I might. The one flight's like 14 hours.
Really?
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting trying to figure out when we're going to do the podcast. You might be doing a podcast by yourself in 2 weeks.
Let's record that because I'll probably be dead, tired.
All right. On that note, I guess we'll see you next week.
Take it easy, guys.
There.